Before there was a sanctuary, before the land, there was simply a decision. In the early 1990s, Githurai Church began noticing something that would change everything. A growing number of its members, families from Thome, Garden Estate, Gumba, and Maroroi, were traveling long, difficult distances every Sunday just to worship. Leaders paused and asked, what if the church moved closer to the people? It began as small conversations, whispered prayers in homes, quiet burdens shared among the faithful, and gradually a conviction formed. A new congregation needed to be planted. That simple decision became the first spark of what would one day grow into PCEA Thome Church.
It is a journey that has been there a long time ago, since around 1993, when there was a mind of bringing church from Githurai to this area of Thome, where two elders were sent to this place to come and start a church, where there was only one plot which was given by the association of Thome 5. And so they came and they settled here. There was no structure, and they started with a small structure which had no sides, and some few forms that people were sitting on. So they started that way, and also looking for members around who are settled in this area, and others who are coming from Maroroi area, and they started the fellowship.
Majina naitwa Mrs. Maraka, neighbor wa hii kanisa. Niko tu tunasikana na kwa fence hapa tunasikana, na niseme it was 1995. Kanisa ya Parish ya Githurai, elders watatu wakakuja kwetu nyumbani. Wakatuambia wanataka kuwa neighbors wetu, juu tunashikana na kanisa. Wakati huo kanisa, kiwanja ya kanisa haikuwa na kitu, ndio wali decide kuja wajiintroduce kwa sisi kama family ya Maraka, wanataka kuwa neighbors zetu.
Riu hindi ya tuokire guku ri twaga kanitha wa PCEA hakuhi twambire guthie riu kuu ndiramwira Baptist. Tugicoka riu ni undu wa kwaria na andu ri magitwira hihi kanitha wa PCEA we Githurai. Tugithie tugicaria kanitha wa Githurai tutiawonire, no ni twacoka na guku niguo tukire tukirwo ati kanitha wa PCEA we Kahawa West. Riu tugikiambiriria guthie Kahawa West, tukiona riu wi kunene twi guku niguo gutiaikarire muno gutambiriirio riu kanitha uyu wa Thome. Gwiciria ni monire hena need, riu muthenya kanitha wa Thome wakiambiriirio ithuĩ tworagia ona tukerwo ri tutiaikarire muno riu na kuu Githurai, tugigiuka riu Thome.
Meanwhile, by the time they were doing so, people had not known here there's a place for worship. So there was a lot of work to be done, going around door to door and informing people that we are coming up as PCEA Church Thome here, so that people could join. So the elder who was in charge at that time was Elder Thu, who is a deceased this time, and Elder Kamunya also. And we had a minister who was called Reverend Diallo, who was in charge when the church was being initiated.
As the dream of a new congregation grew, an unexpected door opened. Thome Farmers, a land buying company based in Komothai, Githongori, had a plot they intended to give to any church organization. They chose to entrust it to the Presbyterian Church. And just like that, the vision found soil.
Before these plots, as you see them, called Thome, it was a bigger area. It was an agricultural land. Then it was divided or whatever, divided into small plots as you see them today. After allocation of these plots you see with the big houses, always there is an act in Nairobi City Council which says if you are subdividing a farm within the city council, you allocate somewhere for the markets, and that I didn't know, but one of my relatives who was a brother-in-law, he was working with the pipeline. He knew exactly what happens after the plots are allocated to individual persons. So he was a member of Bahati Church, PCEA. He was called Chege, Morris Chege. He happens to be my brother-in-law. So he took the initiative to find out who are these people who are in charge of the allocation of these plots. So he went up country to look for these wazees. They were wazees actually. They were the chairman, secretary, and the treasurer. When he went there, he was so much interested to get a church plot. And he went there and they talked. When they talked, they told him that you allocate a plot for the church. He was an elder. I have said he was an elder at the Bahati Church. So eventually, before the church was allocated the plot, he passed on. And he had told me this story because he was my brother-in-law and we are very close. So I thought because he had died, I should take his initiative and find out exactly how I can pursue his dream. Where I was working, I was able to communicate with these wazees. They used to bank with us. I was their banker. So I pursued this dream of my brother-in-law to the end because I had access of these wazees when they were coming to where I was working. So I pursued this item until the end. So what happened after the allocation of the plots, which I mean the plot you see, the big buckets which are there, these flats, they were returned to Nairobi City Council. And he had earlier requested for a plot for the church. Since I had the access of these wazees and I was pursuing his dream, I talked to them about it. So when these were allocated, they told me, now we are allocating the plot which we have submitted to the city council. So I told them, please don't forget this Buze, who was my brother-in-law, who has requested for the plot. One of them was a very good person. So he came to my office where I was working and we talked about it. he told me to fill the documents for city council and told me these documents I am going to submit them on the behalf of you, but you have to pay something. So by that time, it was not much we were paying. So I wrote a check because I was a banker of 1,500. So as the documents could be processed. Fortunately, when these documents were processed and the titles were out, the title was out for the Thome, he brought me this title in the office, and he told me, I'm giving you this title, and keep it and don't give it to anybody. So what I did, I followed his words, and he told me, so he mentioned some characters which I should not mention here, and he told me, don't give them this title, keep this title. So I took the title at home and kept it. So eventually, later on, a church pastor came to me. I don't know whether to mention his name, because he was Mr. Geru. You can find out when he was here. Mr. Geru, maybe year 294 or 95 there. 1995, 94. He came to my office and he told me he wants the title. I told him, I'm not giving you the title. He pursued it. He came once, twice, 3 times for the title. I told him, I am not giving you the title. In fact, I was mentioning John Gatu. I told him, go and look for John Gatu, who was the head of the church, and you come with him so as I would give you this title. So what he did, he went back to these people who are processing the title, the Wazes. So they came together. Then that is how I gave him the title.
The plot where a congregation church building was built on was given by Thome, a land buying company.
In early 1995, PCEA Thome was officially broken off from Githurai Church, and a small courageous community of about 20 believers gathered to worship. Not in a sanctuary, not in a hall, but under a wallless canvas tent held up by cedar posts. Their pews were simple wooden forms, carried, bought, or borrowed. Their faith, it was unshaken. This humble beginning became the heartbeat of Thome Church.
Kamuthenya kau twari very excited tondu ni wamenya riu andu matwathiana guku Githurai twokire nie muthenya wa mbere tondu nie ndakinyire ndathire kuo muthenya wa mbere gutiari kindu no kaneti kahema na kahana gagacere uguo ndiwe kuria marutitwo tugigithie kanitha-ini tugikara kahema-ini kau tutiari aingi muno tondu andu matiamenyete tugigithomera kahema no tutiagithomire for long ni twathiaga andu makeofa no ndehe giti no ndehe magicoka riu athuri makiuga tutikihota guikara kahema-ini
no hau hahama kana twari haria. That was how it was, because ugiathire nyumba ya mabati atia without coming from somewhere, we had to congregate somewhere niguo tucoke twicirie guthondeka kanitha yake ya mabati. That's what we did.
The very first time the place was dusty, everybody contributed the benches to sit on. So we have come from far. At first we used to beat the drum, but now we have got the whole PA.
Ona minyamu yo twaguraga mibauri eno the forms we sit on twaguraga omwe 10,000 na nidirikanaga I bought one nake my husband akigura iri hindi my husband ndakuite koguo ni andu me iyo ndiagurirwo ni mundu we ni andu moigaga ni ngugura ikiyura. TV icio cia mbere twikaga ati ni kiario waheanire cia mbere gwikira iria ciairwo.
As membership grew, so did the need for something more stable. The community rallied, families pledged money, others contributed materials, and political invitations were intentionally avoided, as this was a work of faith and not influence. A small committee was formed, drawings were approved, and piece by piece, the first Mabati sanctuary rose on the Thome plot. Locals jokingly called it Kioskia Modoa Githurai. But inside those tin walls, worship was alive, vibrant and unwavering. By the time, the membership had grown to about 40 believers, split into 2 districts. 18 pews were donated, and the congregation found its rhythm.
Magicoka riu athuri makiuga tutikihota guikara kahema-ini, ngwiciria o makidonate tumavati tugigiaka gacedi tugithomangira ho gacedi kau gagicoka gaki-improve andu makidonate mavati ugiakwo kanitha ukire wa mavati na mbere tukiingira ona ndwathiminditwo no ni wacokire ndwaikarire muno utari muthiminde ugithimindwo na hindi iyo ri tukiambiriria ku increase numbers ukona o twathii Sunday ni heongerera andu o twathii Sunday ni heongerera andu elders aria twari nao marutirwo Githurai kanitha wa Githurai na makireho 2 elders and their spouses magigiuka riu tugikianjia kanitha tugicoka tutiaikarire muno gukirehwo mutungatiri
na andu metio mabati marehire kurehe andu makarehe thimiti no who are doing it there was no form of harambee gutiari na harambee twekaga no andu mundu akagwa mabati 15 twamiaka uguo kanitha people started coming up in numbers because already there is Thome church.
The Mabati church is through giving. People used to contribute whatever you have. If you have got a window from home, you bring the window. Like me, I didn't have money that time. I brought the windows which are put there, and some even used to give even money to the church to rent, and then they can get back the money, just because we wanted the church to grow. Na tukawapokea na tulikuwa tunaendelea na kanisa ikaanza sasa, preparation ya ground ya kanisa ikaanza, na vitu yote ilikuwa natoka kwetu kama majembe, vijiko ya mchanga, kila kitu tulikuwa nawapatia.
Heka inde mwire maundu maria twikite thiini wa kanitha witu. Kanitha ucio witu wari wa mabati, ni twacokire tugiikara ihinda inene muno tureka tumaharambe tukiuma mabati maria twakite namo na tukiambiria kwaramia kanitha no ya mabati ikiaramio tukigia members aingi igithie kurite nito kanitha ucio wa mabati. I can't remember which year it was dedicated by the moderator of General Assembly, who was by then J.C. Kamau, Dr. J.C. Kamau, no wari moderator wa General Assembly, akiamura akidedicate tondu kwari na kubatarania ati kanitha umwe wa Githurai no nginya wamurwo ni mutungatiri nigetha tuheo tutinagio parish ituike igiri na magithura kanitha wa Thome ukidedicate wa dedicate riu tugicoka niguo twacokire tukiamuranio tukiheo zimamani tukiheo Githurai parish ri igituo igiri ithuĩ twarĩ na zimamani na kahua farmers na riu na ithuĩ.
Between 1998 and 2003, God opened new doors. The church acquired the plot where the present school stands, then the adjacent plot, then another in 2003. Architectural plans were drawn, revised, and expanded as it became clear. Thome Church was growing faster than anyone had imagined. Surrounding estates, Garden Estate, Balozi, Muthaiga North, Mukima Drive, Safari Park, and many others, were still largely underdeveloped, offering huge potential for future ministry. The leadership saw a bigger future and began planting a sanctuary that matched the dignity and growth of the community.
When those people moved to Gateways, we were very few people who are left at PCEA Thome. I think about 70 people. And by then, the church leadership thought the best thing is for us to build the new permanent church, which was designed by architect Kamawe.
My name is Kamawe Nugi. I'm an architect by profession. I've been practicing architecture for the last 45 years. And I moved to Thome in 2004 when I changed residences from where I am now to Balozi Estate, which is near Thome. And automatically I had to join Thome Church, being a Presbyterian. And I found the church in the process of thinking of developing a new sanctuary. We were worshiping in a timber Mabati church. It was getting small for the population. And of course, it's not conducive for the environment either. I was invited into the development committee of the proposed church, and I proceeded to produce sketch designs for approval by the client. The process went on for quite a while. Some members felt that we had designed a mammoth church which couldn't be afforded by the congregation. But with the persistence of the chairman and the other members, they were convinced that we go ahead and build at least set out the church as designed, even if it couldn't be finished at once. Because of the space available, we couldn't have a proper nave on the ground and have the other facilities wanted as like a hall. So we designed a multi-purpose hall on the ground, and we convinced the members that we build the hall as phase one to be used as the nave, and continue with constructing the rest of the church on the upper floors, which actually worked very well because we were able to worship in that hall for quite a number of years as the construction continued upstairs.
We started collecting money to build the new church, and I think 2005 is the time when we started building the building. And within a space of 4 years, The existing church where we attend the church today was completed within a period of 4 years. I would mention that although we were very few people when some people migrated to Gateway, the ones who were left behind, and as I said earlier on, were about 70. They were very enthusiastic to have a new permanent church, and they contributed money very willingly, and I believe within 2 years after the churches splitted, within 2 years we were about 120 people, and they managed to contribute about 12 million to complete the church where we pray today.
The membership wasn't so big, considering others had left to start a congregation a year earlier, and therefore majority of the people were in their mid-40s and 50s and 60s.
When the ring foundation of the stone was done by the reverend who was there in the outreach, he came and read the foundation of the stone when we started doing the new construction, the stone one, and Reverend Orerida. By the time we were an outreach, not a parish, because the church had not grown very much. But adding to that, many people continued to come, and the number was big enough. So up to that time when Orerida then left and the parish was also split now, which was a Kahowa outreach, became many parishes that were born from that outreach. We ended up having Githurai Parish, where we had Reverend Jerry, then came and also ministered to us in this parish.
You can imagine from the sanctuary behind me to the big, beautiful sanctuary. One thing I remember is that I was the minister then during the laying of the foundation of this sanctuary on 24th September 2006. I can remember very well the service. We had our moderator, Orerida. He did a good sermon. And after that, we had a fundraiser, and we were able to realize some millions, and there was continuity. The development board was very, very active. I remember they used to meet severally at night, and they were so burdened. And the people who are here today, we cannot be able to thank them enough for the effort that was made. I remember they decided to first acquire space before anything else. We decided to buy plots, and you can see how expansive we are, and were it not for them, we would not have space for development.
Rĩu tũikarangĩte nĩguo twagũrire kĩea kĩrĩa gĩakĩtwo nĩ kĩrĩa gĩathirwo nĩ andũ a Gateway, na ithuĩ twagũrĩte twĩ kanitha wothe. Twagĩcoka tũkĩgũra gĩkĩ twakĩte gĩkĩ rĩu tũraka, gĩkĩ kanitha ĩrũgamĩte, tũkĩgũra no tũtarĩkĩtie gĩkĩ rĩ, nĩguo andũ a Gateway mandicaidire gũthiĩ, magĩtũtigĩra kĩea kĩu, tũkĩrĩkia kũrĩha na tũgĩcoka tũkĩamũrwo nĩguo twambĩrĩirie gwaka kanitha.
Then we decided to put up another, that issue of another plot came up, where we are now studying, where we are now, the main church. The plot was going for around 2.3 million. We raised that money. All of us joined in and we bought that plot. That's where currently the church is.
Higo nĩ twambire tũkĩgũra ploti tũtiambire gwaka. Tũkĩgũra ploti ĩyo ĩna hau rami-inĩ hau nĩyo twambire kũgũra. Ona ĩyo nĩ yatũthĩnirie mũno tondũ nĩ yathire kinya twĩkona na thirĩ wa bengi ũtanyihĩire mirioni 9. No Ngai nĩ mwega tondũ thirĩ ũcio nĩ watũthĩnagia mũno. Na nĩ twahotire gwaka kũrĩha thirĩ ũcio na tũkĩrĩkia. Na buroti ingĩ tũkĩgũra haha hau parking harĩ buroti ingĩ twakire.
Nĩ twakinyire handũ tũkĩgũrĩra tondũ kea karĩ kamwe tu na tũtiaiganagĩra tondũ ona ũngĩokire kuo no ũrigwo gũkũ nĩ kwa tũgĩkĩgũra gwaikaranga nĩ andũ nĩ kuongereirwo PCEA ciaigĩthiĩ ciarĩte na gũkinya handũ ihinda rĩgĩkinya rĩtuĩka nĩ tũkũgĩa na kanitha.
Koguo nĩguo twambĩrĩirie, nĩguo twathomire na twarĩkia gwĩka ground breaking. Hau nĩho kanitha wambĩrĩirie na managia na hau nĩrĩo twambĩrĩirie gwetha mbeca rĩu cia gũgĩaka na nĩ twambĩrĩirie harambĩ, tũgĩka harambĩ ĩngĩ na tũgĩka harambĩ yarĩ very successful tondũ nĩ twahotire kũraise mbeca ciarĩ hakuhĩ 2 million. No hingo twekaga ũguo nĩgetha twambĩrĩrie mwako nĩ twambire gũikaikara tũtarĩ tũrambĩrĩria njoke thutha hanini. Na niĩ ndĩ ũmwe wa mamemba ndonire tondũ rĩu tũtirĩ tũrambĩrĩria rĩ, no Ngai wanyonagia ngĩtwara ballast. The first building material tani cia ballast 17, 17 tons of ballast, na ngĩitana tũtirĩ mũndũ twarĩtie nake. Koguo rĩ, hau nĩho twambĩrĩirie ũhoro wa mwako na harĩ mũthuri ũngĩ wĩtagwo Kamau kana Kitek, nake agĩita mũthanga 125 tons of sand. Rĩu nĩrĩo kanitha wakĩonire ti itherũ no nginya tũthiĩ na mbere na mwako. Na rĩrĩa twahothire mbeca nĩho gũkĩambĩrĩria ngugĩte hau kabere. Nĩ tũkwarĩ na maũndũ maingĩ tondũ na kanitha tuge kĩrĩa ndema nĩ kwarĩ na ũnyihu wa mbeca thĩinĩ wa headquarter, na no makiuga arĩa makĩrĩ na mbeca hihi harĩ ũndũ makĩenda ũrĩa itangĩhota gũtaũra wega. No nĩ ndathire harĩ gwake David Wawerũ tondũ nĩ warĩ chairman wa development. Ngĩkĩmwĩra rĩu to mbeca nĩ tũragĩkire atĩrĩ itanabangĩrwo maũndũ mangĩ rĩ, kaĩ tũtangĩgũra materials ciothe ciiganĩre materials ciehere bengi. Na ndakora David Wawerũ ndamũkorire wabici gwake na twaria maundu macio ni kwari na ni twakoretwo to cheki iria ciarĩ ho nĩ cia sainĩtwo tondũ ciendagwo kũgũra material na nĩ yaririe na mũhĩndĩ ũrĩa wamũcapurayagĩra material akiuga nĩ amwĩhokete na ngĩmwĩra atũrehere material no arehe. Rĩu nĩrĩo twagũrire chuma iria ciambĩte nyũmba ĩyo, chuma ndungu mũno ndiũĩ kana nĩ waĩ 16, 20, can't remember. No nĩcio nĩ ndĩraciona ciambĩte mũthingi ũcio nĩ ndĩrawona. Mũhĩndĩ ũcio nĩ arehire ciothe tondũ twarĩkĩrĩirie na Wawerũ, indo icio ciothe by Sunday igakorwo irĩ hau. Nĩ twarehire kĩndũ rori ingĩ 10 cia ballast, mũthanga ũngĩ, chuma icio ciothe na thimiti itanyihĩire gwĩcia ciarĩ about 200 bags of cement. Rĩu ũguo nĩguo twarehire indo na harĩ container ĩgĩkĩrwo thimiti yarĩ hau mwena wa thutha wa kanitha harĩ barabara ĩgerete hau na nĩho container yarĩ na nĩho ciaigirwo. Although na nĩngũririkana kanitha mũrango warorete na kũu, no twĩ mũcemanio-inĩ nĩ ndarĩcire question ĩyo ngiuga tondũ andũ nĩ moimaga nja kana ũhiki rĩrĩa wekwo andũ makoima nja rĩ na hau he barabara rĩ nĩ tũrĩgiagwo wega nĩ tũmĩrorie na mwena ũyũ ũngĩ harĩa ĩrorete rĩu na engineer ũrio nĩ oigire na kweri nĩguo na hatirĩ na thĩna na ĩkĩgarũranio ĩgĩtuĩka mũrango ũrore na mwena ũcio rĩu ũrĩ. Rĩu hau nĩho ngugaga nĩho twaigĩte, nĩho materials nĩho ciaitirwo, chuma nĩho ciaigirwo ciothe, thimiti nĩguo waigirwo na rĩu gwĩtuĩka indo ciothe cia kwambĩrĩria mwako ciĩho. Na nĩrĩo gwakĩrehirwo andũ a kwambĩrĩria kwenja mũthingi na mũthingi ũcio nĩ wakĩenjirwo na ũkĩambĩrĩria kwambwo chuma icio. Chuma icio nĩ ciakĩambirwo na ikĩrũgamio. Mbeca icio nĩ ciaiganire wĩra ũcio wothe. Chuma icio tondũ ngwĩciria no gũkorwo kũrĩ na mbica iria ciakĩhũrirwo. Nĩ chuma ciathondeketwo atĩ kanitha ũcio no ũngĩambata ngoroba ona 5 kana makĩria. Chuma icio nĩ njega na rĩu kanitha nĩguo wambĩrĩirie na gwakwo twagũgĩkorogwo na tũgĩthiĩ tũgĩgĩũkagĩria na rĩrĩa wakinyire harĩa wakinyire rĩu ũkĩambatio kinya mahiga magĩkinya harĩa makinyire atĩ slab na kĩrĩa ingĩamba kũmwĩra hau nĩ atĩ ona kũu tũrathomera kũu kanitha ĩyo ĩrĩ kũu hall ĩyo even today ti ngoroge no na ballast twaitire kũu fumbi na ĩkĩaraganio ĩgĩcoka ĩgĩkĩrwo icio ciĩkĩrĩtwo icio muonaga mũkinyagwo ũngĩeheria ĩmwe kũndũ kũu nĩ gũtigairie wĩra wa gũkoroga tondũ tuonire twakoroga tũtihota gũthiĩ na igũrũ. Twambe twĩkĩre kĩrĩa slabs icio ikaniguo icoke ihakwo rangi tugacoka gũkoroga thutha-inĩ. Koguo kanitha ũmenye marĩ na wĩra matigairie hau. Rĩu nĩ gwagĩthire gũgĩgĩũkaga injinia ũrĩa warĩ kuo agĩthiĩ, tũgĩkorwo na mũndũ ũgwĩtwo Nũgĩ, magĩteithania na injinia arĩa angĩ merutagĩra, kinya tũgĩkoroga na andũ arĩa hau igũrũ slab ĩrĩa twakorogire nĩ ndirikana twamĩkorogire kinya thaa 4 cia ũtukũ, andũ merutĩire arũme, na tũkĩruta wĩra ũcio na tũgĩtuĩka nĩ twakoroga.
Because of the space available, we couldn't have a proper nave on the ground and have the other facilities wanted as like a hall. So we designed a multi-purpose hall on the ground, and we convinced the members that we build the hall as phase 1 to be used as the nave, and continue with constructing the rest of the church on the upper floors, which actually worked very well because we were able to worship in that hall for quite a number of years as the construction continued upstairs.
No kanitha ũyũ tũgĩaka twathomagĩrwo ĩrĩa ya mabati. Thutha ũcio nĩguo gwacokire tũkĩamũra Eroda ũngĩ, tũkĩamũra Eroda Dina. Nĩguo acokire akĩamũrwo. Thutha ũcio tũikarĩte nĩguo andũ angĩ tuĩ mathamire. Magĩtũtiga, magĩthiĩ. Matũtigire tũrĩ o kanitha ĩrĩa ya mabati. Tũtoimĩte ĩyo tondũ kĩeha gĩkĩ tũtianjĩtie gwaka. Thutha ũcio nĩguo twanjirie gwaka kanitha ĩno na tũkĩanjia gwĩka atĩ na kanitha ũyũ ũrĩ nĩguo nĩgetha tũingĩre rĩ ũyũ wa ũrĩa tũrathomera rĩ wamũrirwo nĩ Reverend nĩ moderator wa presbytery moderator wa General Assembly, nake hĩndĩ ĩyo nĩwe warĩ Gathanju. Reverend Gathanju nĩwe wamũrire. Niĩ ndakorire Rira na Njoroge, Francis Njoroge, tondũ hĩndĩ ĩyo yarĩ the big Githurai Parish. Rĩu ũrĩa athiĩ rĩ nĩguo kwarehirwo Ndegwa, Reverend Ndegwa, that is kĩndũ 201 nĩwe warĩ kuo na 202 gũgĩcoka gũgĩũka Ndegwa rĩ ũngĩ wetagwo Ndĩritũ nake arĩ wa cimamani ici ciothe na Kĩnyanjui. Mathiĩ rĩu Ndĩritũ athiĩ na Kĩnyanjui nĩ athiĩte nĩguo Kangokire. Kangoka athiĩ asucceedirwo nĩ Kaniaru. Kaniari oka asucceedirwo nĩ Buri. Rĩu kuma Buri to wa mũgũnda. Acio nĩo tũkoretwo nao. Na mahinda maingĩ rĩrĩa tũtahetwo mũtungatĩri twakoragwo na mũtungatĩri ikinya. Tondũ between Kaniaru, between Ndĩritũ na Kanga nĩ twaikarire tũtarĩ na mũtungatĩri. Kanga agĩgoka. Rĩu between hĩndĩ ĩyo nĩ mũtungatĩri ikinya watungataga. Rĩu hau no hatũkinyĩtie atungatĩri.
In 2009, I was posted to PCEA Githurai Parish. Githurai Parish then had 4 congregations, namely Githurai, and this one Thome, and there was Gateway, and there was Zimmerman. We came to Githurai Parish, 2 of us, Reverend Kamau being an associate minister, and so we started off working together. We did a lot of visitation in Githurai Parish, including this church now, and we worked hard. By then, this congregation was part of Githurai Parish, and so within 2 years, we decided that it was time we prepare this Githurai Parish to be subdivided into 4 congregations. And by then, this church had no office, no church office. There was no vestry. And so we had to endeavor to have a church office and have a vestry. And so we started off and we built a vestry, and then we built an office, and then we employed a secretary. And from there, because I was working in the 4 congregations, we also prepared the other congregation, that is Gateway and Zimmerman. We made sure that all of them were dedicated. When this was dedicated and the other 2 are dedicated, we then set off to start a parish here in this place. And so we decided that the parish, which was called Githurai then, will have to be subdivided into 4. My problem was this parish was not very, very strong. Githurai also was not very, very strong. The 2 strong congregations were Zimmerman and Gateway. But even this one had enough number of members to become a parish. And so when I took the issue to the presbytery, and we said we wanted to subdivide the parish, we were given permission to do that. So we came to the session, and one of my greatest dilemma was how we were going to subdivide this parish into 4. The problem was between this parish and Githurai, there was Zimmerman. And so the problem was, where was the boundary to be? And when I called the session, my problem was solved very quickly. Because when I told them that we were going to subdivide the parish, the first person to say we agree was from this congregation. The second person who seconded was from Githurai. And so the second question was, how many parishes do you want us to have? And Githurai person said, let each church go its way. And who seconded? The person from this parish seconded the idea, and so we all agreed to have Githurai parish subdivided into 4 parishes. And the date was set, and we started preparing everything. And when the day came, you remember we had only 2 ministers. We were 2 ministers. There was Reverend Kamau Nderito and myself. So we had to do something. And so the presbytery, on its own wisdom, decided that Reverend Ikinya would be posted here to continue the work until such time when the posting or the appointment committee will have had time to appoint a minister to come to this parish. And then another minister, a late minister, was told to look at Zimmerman. So the two were given people to stand by until the appointment committee did its work. From there, then we continued, and we brought Reverend Ikinya here, and he did very good work. Myself, I was posted to PCEA Gateway, and Kamau, being a younger person, was posted to Zimmerman so that he could continue with Zimmerman, and someone else was given to start by in Githurai Church, which was now Githurai Parish. So we did that, and I can say I was very, very happy to see that after almost 2 years, we had done what we did, preparing this church and preparing a gateway, and even having all these congregations, Zimmerman, this one, and Gateway dedicated. We invited one of the past moderators to come and do the work of dedication so that we could be able to have 4 parishes. We definitely, we wanted people not to be traveling very far. That was one reason. The other reason was, for a minister to be effective, he must be able to reach each and every member of the congregation. At that time, Githurai Parish had between 7,000 and 8,000 members. If you think about 8,000 members, it is very important, because if you are going to reach each and every member, it will take a very long time. But when you have a smaller congregation, a congregation where you have 200, 300, or 500 members, you can be able to reach them wherever they are very quickly. But when you have a large number, it becomes difficult. That was one. 2, we did not want to create a situation where we would have many ministers working in one parish. We did want to have more associate ministers, because sometimes ministers, when we have many in one parish, they may create some problem. So instead of having many ministers in one parish, which was Githurai, then we had to ensure that we subdivided, created the 3 more parishes, and that not only helped the parish, it also helped the presbytery, because when you create more parishes, they also help the presbytery to become more able to have many projects in the presbytery.
I first served as a minister since it was inaugurated from Githurai Parish. I was the first minister to be posted there. Let me say, when I came to Thome, I can attest that I was accorded a lot of warmth and love from the community of PCEA Church, where we joined hands together and started serving the Lord, as was our calling. And during my tenure, I can say that we started Thome Community Circle, that is even serving the community up to this point. We also started the computer college that at one point it was closed down. And we did a lot of work together with the members of PCEA Thome Church, and even the elders at in the church that we were able even to achieve some mileage in physical growth. I can remember we did purchase few plots, and actually one is the one that is just adjacent to the church, in just near Thome market, where people go for shopping. That is an important asset to this church. When we come to the spiritual area, we did a lot of work with Thome members, where we were able to enhance the singing and even church praise and worship, choir that was able to enhance the singing in the church. And even apart from that, we were also, I can say, I also introduced the IT department that has actually developed or grown to a full-fledged church, online church that they can able to reach many people just far and wide, remembering that today the world has come a global village, that we're able to reach them through this kind of a gadget. So I can say during my tenure, we were able to introduce the department that has done a lot of work in preaching. I also, when I came, there was no evangelist. I served as an evangelist for a couple of years when I was teaching the catechist classes and doing everything. But at one point, we were able to recruit an evangelist by the name of Gedeji, who is currently the parish minister at PCEA Umoja Church.
From my memory, I remember well, PCEA Thome was subdivided from the Raja Githurai Parish, and after subdivision, the then Reverend Kanga came. They continued for like 2 years without an evangelist, and in the year 2012, that's when I joined the family of PCEA Thome as an evangelist. I thank God that I got that privilege and the opportunity to serve here as the first evangelist. When I was here, I remember the population was not that big. We were 100, 400, but I can tell you, it is in Thome that you would realize that people are serving God, even with their resources. Because like the fund drive that happened when I was here, the kind of monies that were raised here were big monies, and people would give cheerfully with a lot of love. And that is why we are commemorating a journey that is so good, that had been a great one, a lot of sacrifice from the people of God.
We also did a lot of work, not mentioning all what we did that time, but I can remember also we were able to develop some, to ordain elders, one of them being Elder Ikeru, who is currently the session clerk. So the story, the work, and whatever we achieved in 5 years during my tenure in Thome from 2009 to 2014 cannot be put in 3 or few minutes that I have. But what I can say is that I feel so proud that I was able to contribute to the growth of the church. And even this sanctuary, this church now that is being dedicated, we were also able to think on how to finish it. But at that time, we thought purchasing a plot was also important. May I say that we were able to enhance the services through developing customer service charter. When I was the clerk of Nairobi North Presbytery, we developed a customer service charter that was able to work in every part of Nairobi North, and it helped me even in trying to achieve some goals that were set by the Presbytery through the service charter.
I remember I was posted in Thome in October 2014, and I started serving early January. So I had a good time there, and I'm one of the, I always thank God that I went and had an experience of such a great parish. And well, the people were really good, but then the membership of the parish was so low. I don't think we had even more than 100 communicants. In fact, and the membership was quite low. again, there were many challenges. One of them is that even if we needed numbers, we didn't have a big enough church to accommodate them. And there's more church that I found there, which is still there, only that this time it has been overwhelmed by the rest of the structure that is on top of the small church that was there. Could be expanded. The reason why it could not have been expanded is that it was lying on a plot which it had occupied almost the whole of its area. The rest of the plots were separate, and there is no way it could have extended to a neighboring plot. Remember, there were 4 plots.
Again, the church, I've seen and witnessed the church growing because I have been taking people through the catechism classes now and then. Every quarter, I used to have a class, and this class, there are times that we could teach a good number, but there are times we could have a few number, but at least we have taught at least a class of 7 people. Every time I had a class, it was 7 and above, whereby people will come, become full members of the church, get received and confirmed in the church, and the baptisms of our children, it has happened. And so we have seen growth of the church in membership-wise, because as an evangelist, one of the missions and one of the lines and callings and job description is to make sure that there is growth in the membership of the church. I actually joined Thome Church when we had around 300 members. And by the time I was leaving, this is last year, 2014, towards the end of last year, 2024, sorry, we were at around 700 membership. And I really thank God, because that growth, I have seen it working.
I went there and inspected the place. And I noticed that there was a problem with the church. One, it had overstayed in a kind of a stagnated way. It was not the construction itself, because even when you went up there, upstairs, which was accessible then, you could see that the construction had taken quite some time. And the stones there were turning kind of black because of rain and whatever. So even before I went there, I had already in my mind that that church should start being constructed again. So when I was handed over the session, after the first session, the second one, I tried to establish why the construction was not going on. And well, I was told by the session, we don't have money, all those stories, people went away to get away, and we have only 2 million. And they were confused that the membership there, even if they were asked to give, they would not be able to collect or even to manage to get 2 million in one sitting. So after 2-3 sessions, nikawauliza waniruhusu niongee na members wenyewe. And that permission was granted. So I went and talked to the membership, and when I talked to the membership, some of them embraced that idea, and in fact, they suggested that we should start holding fundraisers.
Throughout this time, we organized fundraising every year, 2 fundraisings every year, which enabled us to move and do the church work that as you see it today.
This we ably did until we did the roof and the offices as you see them now. Quite often we lacked funds to do what we wanted to do, what the committee wanted to achieve. In fact, at one time, the committee members gave a loan, a soft loan to the church. They contributed almost 3 million shillings of their own money, which they gave to the committee to continue with their work. The other main challenge is that the members of the church membership was small. We had a small membership, and therefore even when we raised funds, we did not achieve as much as we wanted. These are the main challenges that we faced. Otherwise, the members who are willing and quite willing, the few members who are there contributed very well, and we were able to do whatever we were able to achieve, whatever we achieved in getting the sanctuary where it is now. The physical structure, the outside of the church is where it is because the members contributed quite a lot of money, and this I thank them.
So the construction of that church took about 1.5 years. 2.5, because it started around June 2015, and I left that place in 2015, at the end of 2015. – 2015, 2016, 2017, I left early 2018 because I left in January. By the time I left, we had gone up to the roofing, we had made the hall that is up there, we had done the grills, the staircases, and there was also the balcony. You know, that thing had to be redesigned. Architect Kamawe did the redesigning because we didn't have the balcony up there. It was not provided for, but we found that it was prudent for us to do that because we were looking for a space that would accommodate even more people because of the increasing number of young people that now started coming to church. Well, the numbers went on building up, and I don't know how many there are today, but the few that I got there, by the time we were leaving, we had quite a good population in that church. And you know, when you talk about the construction of that church, there are some names that you cannot, there is no way you can escape mentioning those names. Especially the name of Mr. Dilango. Mr. Dilango, the husband to Elder Mrs. Dilango. Architect Kamawe. People like Kiali, who became the chairman of development then. And the late Malaka, who is a neighbor to the church. People like Waweru is the husband to Elder Jean. People are very positive about us coming together and raising funds to construct that church. The late Jeraini, in his quiet way, in fact, that he was the power behind whatever I was doing. The late Jeraini, he was one of the power behind that. And there was also this very humorous man, Mr. Steve, The other name, okay, tulikuwa tunamuita Steve. That one, in his humorous way, whenever we met, whether in a formal setting or non-formal, his encouragement, his humorous ways of putting things forward, they made you feel that really it was possible. People like the late Mulegi. Yeah, if I remember, well, it was Mr. Mulegi. Me, Jire. People are very positive about that. And the Wagoi, Mr. Mutai, Engineer Kimani, Mrs. Kife. Hata huyo naye alikuwa in a very humorous way. Na ako huko na very strong, focused lady. In the session itself, there were people, other very positive people that really embraced that idea wholeheartedly. Like Elder King, Eugene Abu, people like Elder Jane herself, people like retired Elder Waruhiu, and the late Elder Gachui. These people, they saw an opportunity now for us to start moving. And you know, though people are seeing like it was not possible to raise funds in that with that small number, the first fundraiser that we did without inviting anybody from outside, I think we collected about 5 million in one sitting. In the second one, we collected about 6 million. In fact, when I was living there, we collected in one sitting 11 million. Because these people had embraced. In fact, they were so much on it, even more than probably myself had. Initially, it looked like I was pushing them beyond the limit. They became combative in making sure that the church was going on with the construction.
I became the chairman of the development committee around year 2019 and continued up to the year 2024. So for a period of 5 years, me and the other development committee members continued with the work which had been started first by David Waweru, the chairman, and followed by Danse Kiariam. Most of the engineering, procurement, and construction of the main structure had been completed by the time we came in the year 2019. So me and my team challenge was to finish the structure, including the outer walls, the other support services, as well as the administration block. If you all remember, in the year 2019, we were just been hit by the global pandemic, that is COVID-19. So there were quite a number of challenges, because even attendance to the church was restricted, and therefore even getting resources required for continuing with the church construction was not an easy thing.
Very important is that I was in Thome throughout the COVID time, and that was not easy. It was unprecedented. It was something that it's not just us, but the entire church was new to it. Not just the entire church, the entire country was new to it. The government was, new to this. There was no previous event that COVID could be compared with. And the members also, the citizens, it was new to the citizens as well. You can imagine now, here you are, the pastor, the churches have been closed, and you don't know what do you do when churches are closed. If they are closed for one Sunday, you can say, oh, let's worship at home this Sunday, and then the next Sunday we will come back. But they were closed indefinitely, so what do we do? And I remember that time because it was a time that we really had to pray about the direction and how do we keep the church closed. We couldn't keep the church closed. We had to open the church, and in our own understanding, we had to. Yes, the doors were closed, but the church had to remain open. And I'm very thankful to God because we didn't have to wait very long. Because as we prayed, God opened up our eyes and opened up our eyes to the media ministry. And I would say that was a big moment for Thome Parish and the media ministry, because we remember God reminding us that we have a sister congregation, that is PCEA Sukari. And as we had visited there several times, we had seen that Sukari actually was ahead in media. And so I remember calling the minister there, Reverend Kahuho, and asking him, can you give us a space in your media time so that we can use your equipment? And once you're done with your services, because they were ahead, media-wise, Sukari was definitely ahead. Once you're done with your services, can you give us a time that we can be able to air our service as well? It was on a Thursday, so remember, trying to wonder what do we do. It was on a Thursday, and then he said, "Oh, no problem. That's okay." And I really appreciate the mission-mindedness of PCEA Sukari, because they received us as brothers and shared their space. And that's a wonderful, wonderful thing that I picked. And I just wondered, how much more would we be able to do together as churches if we were able to come together, share what we have, as compared to competing with one another or duplicating what we have. What about just opening up, saying that we have this, you can use, we can share in this? Because during the COVID time, I must say that we were adopted by PCEA Sukari, and they gave us their time to air the Thome services throughout COVID time. And the members, I remember that time, were very appreciative. And it's unique, it's very interesting because we didn't know that you can actually brand, you can use a space, and then on one, between 9 and 10:30, it is PCEA Sukari, but at 11:30 to 1, it is PCEA Thome. And that was very interesting. And I remember our members were very appreciative. And we actually got even a bigger following from outside the country, from other churches, and we had a huge congregation. If our membership was about 300 on a Sunday in physical, when we gathered in person, on media, sometimes it would be 3,000 members in the service, and that was like 10 times over. So that was a very memorable time. And now the challenge came when COVID was coming to an end. Now Sukari had given us space. Now what do we do? I really appreciate also the leadership of PCEA Thome, because at that time there was a huge effort that we must get our own equipment and we must continue broadcasting from our own church. And I really appreciate the leadership of that time because of their togetherness and their committedness. And that was a big kickoff for the media ministry, and it has continued to grow even as Reverend Cyrus Omogonda leads the church. The ministry has continued to be impactful and helpful. So a very memorable time, and I would say with a lot of humility that there was a kick that came to the Thome Parish ministry during the COVID time that continues even to this day.
However, with the help of the CAC session and the various moderators who worked at this time and the Thome congregation, we managed to continue with the work by carrying out, I think during this period, we carried about 2 fundraisers, and with this money and the other money which was being provided by the CAC session, we were able to progress. I must thank at this juncture the former chairman, that is Messias David Waweru and Dance Kiari Gatikoi. They had laid the foundation of the current sanctuary, including the church hall. So ours was easy as we were only to continue with the finishes. One of the blessings we have seen and received by the Lord is that we have talented young professionals. They actually came into being of great asset and help because among the other challenges we were facing, we had enormous bills to set, and especially with the main contractor because we had terminated his contract. So having terminated the contract with the main contractor and the other consultants, this group of young professionals were handy, and though we only paid them tokenism of the work and services they gave us, we were able to make immense savings in terms of the church construction. We thank God that by the time we were leaving, after 5 years, we had already completed about 65% of the main finishes of the church. I would like probably to highlight some of the milestones and completion of the administration block, the main sanctuary, as well as other support services. We started with the administration block, and within this period of about 5 years, we were able to finish with the administration block in terms of creating space for the moderator's office, the evangelist's office, the vestry, the Holy Communion elements room, the classrooms, the creches for the mothers, and we also accomplished and finalized with the youth hall. We created space for the church group office, the accounts office, as well as the media room. It is important to note that we started with the lower media room, but on the main sanctuary we also continued with some works in terms of laying out the finishes of the new media room on the second floor. On the main sanctuary, we did the finishes of the outer walls, reinforcement of beams and columns, extension of the mezzanine, introduction to the staircase leading to the mezzanine, wall plastering, floor terrazzo, roof insulation, paneling and gypsum works, and other associated plumbing and electrical works. In terms of support services, during this period or near the end of the period, the development committee, under my chairmanship, did other extra support works, including the beaconing of church plots, the perimeter wall, the powerhouse, the water tower, the trunk sewer, redesigning of the church hall pulpit, and opening of the church exit. And one special project which is worth also mentioning is the design, installation, and commissioning of the solar project, which we supervised, but which was a PCMF project in terms of funding.
PCMF have also been active. I can recall with the able leadership of Mr. Getiba and Wilson, they found a gap in the provision of clean energy and came up with the currently enjoyed solar project. And most lately, the lithium battery ion the batteries have been enhanced because the church has grown.
As we were coming out of COVID, there were things we were thinking about. How do we grow now differently? Online, we are there in the presence. People are beginning to come back to church, and we need to do something. And what was significant was the online church. Now, I would say my history with the development committee has been very, very good. Even as we opened the new building, I can say that's a team that did great work. When I came in Thome, I didn't have an office. And they facilitated me to have an office that was at the container, great out office, and they promised that they will do a better job. And I remember the chair then was Mr. Carey. And as we continued, I continued to see now the office wing beginning to come up. And as it was coming up, we began to have conversations about the youth church and where would it be situated. And the youth had a meeting with the development committee. And later on, Engineer Joroge came and said, we have decided that the topmost floor will be reserved for the youth, which was a great celebration for us. And as the church was growing up and the building was big, they concentrated on finishing that floor, which was a big blessing to us. It was a big blessing to us. We are grateful to God for their selfless giving and their kindness towards us. Now, of course, now when the building now was good enough to be occupied, even before everything was finished, we began the youth church at the third floor, and we call it the life room. This was work by the youth. They are the ones who came up with these suggestions to call it the life room instead of just the youth church. And the life room it became. And even the verse that was written right there was written, be an example in speech, in conduct. That was written because the youth needed to do that. And the decoration was so good. Now, God's people also gave towards us getting instruments. We didn't want to go up there and then we start without microphones and all that. And we thank God because God's people gave and we were able to start the church with a screen. The screen was purely donated by the youth. It is the youth who actually bought the screen. And I know the person who led that project was Margaret Waweru. Led that with other young professionals. Who, again, we had begun a young professionals ministry, so that is part of what brought up the screen, and the instruments were bought by several members of the church. And then we began the service. Now, there was a challenge of the praise and worship, but through the guidance of Cyrus, our program was tweaked in a way that they were able still to come and do praise and worship and still do the other service, which was a great sacrifice, and we're grateful to God for that. So the church began with a full everything, really, with a Bible, with a screen, with the instruments. So it was so nice.
I joined PCEA Thome back in the year 2018, February, under Reverend Edward Fury. And I remember when I joined, that the first Sunday I was called in the morning at around 5 by the CBM chair, and I was told they were looking for a keyboardist, come a music director, or praise and worship leader. And I told my wife, I usually minister with my wife, I told my wife, now we have to go to PCEA Thome. They don't have somebody for that particular Sunday. So we came, and I remember the first day I found no one. There was only one drummer. And there were no singers. So I was given the microphone and the keyboard, and I was told to lead praise and worship for both services. I led praise and worship. I was singing alone. My wife was backing me up. And from there, that is when I joined praise and worship. I remember the consecutive Sundays that were following. Nobody else came for the interview. So I was given the job. Then from where, that is where we started building praise and worship. Because there were no backup singers, we started looking for talented musicians who could have joined us to help in praise and worship. And we were able to get 2 of them. So we were now 4, 1 drummist, then 3 singers. And that is when we started, that is how we started whatever we have today.
As we think about the ministry then, and connected to now the church that is being dedicated, was the office block that was completed before the sanctuary. And again, that is a time when I also saw the generosity, the committedness of the Thome members. I mean, a small congregation, but very passionate about what they do, very passionate about their church and the ministry growing. And I remember many conversations around standards, that would want a building that would, many years from now, still be impressive, and would want a building that is not hurriedly constructed, one that, inspires, that once you enter into the space, you are inspired. I still remember the leadership conversations we had around that, and also saw the commitment of the leaders and the members to bring that into a reality. And that was a wonderful achievement for the Thome Parish, and now connected to the new sanctuary. I do remember also many conversations. When are we going up? When are we going upstairs? And many conversations around that. A lot of commitments around it. And so very delighted at this particular time to know that finally, even under the leadership of Reverend Cyrus Omogonda, that now finally the cry and the prayer to move from downstairs to upstairs is coming to pass.
This year, that is 2025, one of our elders reminded us that PCEA Thome had started 30 years previously. And so we started exploring how can we celebrate 30 years. And the conversation was around what had happened when they were celebrating 20 years. And so we needed something different, something that will give the story of 30 years, because the story is that it has been 30 years of resilience, 30 years of faith. There has been very, very good highs, moments when things went so well for Thome, but there has also been very sad moments when things didn't go well. And some of those are in history books about the way the church has expanded. It has also given birth to other congregations, and those has been some of the very difficult moments. And so along the way, the sanctuary had stalled, perhaps because of the distractions that comes with the kind of things that were happening around it, or with the neighborhood or the community. And so the sanctuary construction had gotten to a point and it had plateaued. It's not that it is not going on, but it looks like it is elusive. It's an elusive, a moving goal. And so when we thought about celebrating 30 years, we combined. We said for us to celebrate 30 years, we don't want to do it like the way we had done it before, by maybe just having songs and wearing t-shirts, having a meal or something. And so the session decided that it is time to complete the sanctuary.
So last day we had a meeting with the session, and we agreed now that because we had worked for this church for a period of time, it's time now to move up and occupy the new space upstairs.
And so the conversation had to start from there. How do we complete the sanctuary? And through various ministries and people that we have here, we were able to coin a very nice message. We were able to summarize that idea into a very good statement, that is Occupy 2025. This is inspired chiefly by the book of Nehemiah. When Nehemiah in chapter 2, he went and found what was happening, and the church was laying in ruins. I mean the walls of Jerusalem, and he told the people that it can be done. So in the month of June in 2025, that is when we actually decided that this is what we need to do. And so we had Occupy 2025 as the mantra, as a song, as that messaging. And the members bought it. They realized that they have the power, they have the ability, they had self-belief. Obviously, it took a lot of work by various people. We made various committees. We had a fundraising committee, we had a celebration committee, we had a development committee revamped, where everyone was, in fact the word was all hands on deck. And so for the next 2-3 months, the conversation was Occupy 2025, Occupy 2025. Even the children in church were having it. And with a lot of knowledge that so many things were needed, people started working very hard. And on the 5th of October, we had a fundraising, and for the first time from history of Thome, we were able to break a barrier of the money that people can raise on a single day, because on that day we were able to raise approximately 16 million. And that was the budget that had been set by the development committee, and therefore that made the whole exercise have great fruit.
Before I even became the finance chair or even the treasurer of the parish, I knew about the finances of this church and how they are being used. And that is what has been the most encouraging thing about the projects of this church. The stewardship of the funds of this church is something that somebody needs to have, even as a case study, to emulate and even to see what is it that I can learn about this church. Because the stewardship of this church has been very, very encouraging. I've been in the finance committee, and I've been in the finances, the topmost financing decisions that are being made in this church. And when you look at how we raise funds, how we account for funds, how we move on in accounting for the funds, you can see the hand of God in each and every member who is in that church. And so when I talk about finances of this church, I can say that I have seen people who have been good custodians. I've seen people who have been very responsible and very accountable. When I became the treasurer of this church, the finance chair is mostly reporting and all that, and making the final decisions of the finances of the church and even for the congregational board. But when it comes to the treasurer, it is even more demanding, because it's the daily involvement of the funds.
So I must also comment about the transparency in the church through the audits and the HMAC. We must say thank you, because we see that funds are spent prudently, and that also encourages believers to understand that giving is for the good cause, and also seeing that whatever is given is being channeled to the right places. So that is also recommended by the church.
I have the privilege to be the CDM treasurer of PCEA Thome during this journey of Occupy 2025. It has been a very interesting journey, one that has been very unique, if you asked me, I'd like to take this opportunity to appreciate all of you that came together and were able to do almost 16 million Kenya shillings in a Harambee that was purposely directed towards completion of Project 2025. I can assure you that there has been many checks and balances, and those checks and balances even now continue to be used to ensure that in terms of utility, in terms of usage, in terms of how the money is expensed, that the highest levels of highest financial levels of security and measurement are being used, so that whatever is as a result of this, it is not only acceptable but above board.
I have been involved in the day-to-day running of the project Occupy in terms of funds mobilization and monitoring of the many different projects that we are carrying out on a day-to-day. I am so grateful for the Lord and even for the people that the Lord has bring on board, because you see a lot of commitment on day-to-day. This project had very timelines. Was very little, but by the grace of God, we have seen God gave His own people to come and work for this parish at such a time. We have realized of rate meetings during the day and night, just having conversation on how to make this celebration to be very colorful. And by the grace of God, we know that this far we have seen the hand of God. We started by the mobilization of funds and also the planning of the project, led by various departments and various people who came on board to assist the church. Then in the financial progress of day-to-day activity, you have had a very good team just coming on board, advising us on the best way to go about this project in terms of the cost cutting and also the best quality we can have for the project Occupy 2025.
Currently, by the grace of God, I'm the patron to development group, and there is a lot that is going on. This is to ensure that we are finalizing the construction of the church. We have several activities going on, and I thank God for the support that we have received from the Reverend Wamugunda, from the session, and also from the development committee that is working tirelessly to ensure that we complete the sanctuary within the given time. Also, there has been an involvement of other people who are contractors, and they have also been working very well to ensure that they are able to follow the design as it is.
I am so grateful because now we are moving to the new church. After 30 years, the people who started this dream has come true. I'm grateful and forever grateful over the people who initiated this project of starting this project. I am grateful and I will remain grateful forever. I cannot wait to see ourselves in the new church in the year 2025. Our dream has come true because with God, everything is possible. Just believe and trust in that. And I repeat, everything with God is possible. I'm grateful.
Even more importantly, now we are moving into a bigger space where we can off it, where we can praise the Lord comfortably, where we can be able to confidently call, even tell people, you are surrounding Thome, you want to come and fellowship with us at Thome, we have enough space. The only thing I desire, like something one of the elders, Elder Diana, mentioned the other day, that the Lord God may help us, that as we move, we may move with God. Not just moving, then we miss God. No, we move and we move with God and we feel God even in the new sanctuary. Personally, as a person, I thank God, because thinking of where I stay, I will not mention here. I honestly pass so many churches before I get to the PCEA church. Why? Because church is a social gathering, and we all know that. And until something in you tells you now it is time to move, and maybe to a church that is closer to you, it might take time. For now, we are very happy, comfortable in Thome. If God ever wants us to go serve elsewhere, He will lead, direct, and guide. But for now, we have as a family, we have a very special attachment to Thome PCEA Church. And we are happy to be witnesses that yes, we can occupy the new sanctuary.
Na kanitha nĩ ngenetie mũno 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 tondũ ndungata cia Ngai nĩ irarutire wĩra, tondũ na kuona mbeca icio ciaheanirwo andũ merutĩire ti ũndũ mũhũthũ, na nĩ tuonete Ngai. Ona twakorwo tũtirĩ kĩndũ tũngĩhota kwĩrutĩra, Ngai nĩ aheanaga kĩrĩa angĩona kĩu nĩkĩo kĩagĩrĩire, na ndairaga na ndoĩ kĩnini kana kĩnene. Koguo nĩkĩo ndamwĩra atĩ harĩa rĩu tũkinyĩte nĩ Ebeneza na nĩ nyonete Mwathani. Ona ndungata ĩrĩa tũraheirwo, mũtungatĩri ũrĩa twĩ nake, ũcio nake Ngai amũrathime na nyũmba yake nĩ ũndũ wa mawĩko macio mothe athiĩte hinya iria ngiginyanĩtie twakinya hau tũkinyĩte. Tondũ mũtangĩkorwo na mũndũ ũramũtongoria, atongorie ogometie nĩ mwathira na mũtirĩ kũndũ ona kũmwe mũgũthiĩ. Ingĩtara kũrĩa twarĩ kanitha wa mabati-rĩ, na rĩu harĩa tũrĩ-rĩ, ngona Ngai nĩ arutĩte wĩra mũnene, tondũ ona ona ĩyo twambĩrĩirie nĩ twaratũrire mũno tũtakĩte, tondũ tũtirakoragwo tũrĩ aingĩ, no rĩu Ngai nĩ arehete andũ ake tũkaingĩha, ciana ikaingĩha atĩ rĩu nĩcio iracarĩria irathi, na rĩrĩa twatigirwo ciarĩ ciana nyinyi mũno, ona tũtingĩanindire arimũ a Sunday school, no ũmwe twakoragwo naguo nake. Tũtiarĩ na youth pastor, rĩu twĩ nake. Tũtirarĩ na kĩrathi gĩkĩ kĩngĩ kĩretwo Shiners, na rĩu twĩ nakĩo. Koguo ngona Ngai arutĩte wĩra mũnene mũno. Ona tũtiarĩ na praise worship, nĩ andũ merutagĩra gakurubu kainage, no rĩu Ngai atũkinyĩtie hau agatũhe praise worship, kwaya nĩ tũire, na rĩu kanitha nĩ ũkũrĩte na ũkagĩa na members aingĩ.
I thank God. I praise Him for the far He has provided the members of Thome Church who have shifted from the iron church, which was built with iron sheets, to the existing church, which we are very comfortable. And also, I as a person, I thank God because He has brought us this far and also given me a life to see the development of the Thome Church. Thank you very much, and I praise the Lord.
Today, as I speak these things, I am reminded by the Lord that He makes a way where there seems to be no way. I see the faithfulness of the Lord. I rejoice to be part of the history of this church. I raised up my hands to bless Thome people. And even now as I pray, I raise them. I pray for you because you are part of my ministry. How I pray, even as you have this sanctuary dedicated, you will also dedicate yourselves. You will allow yourselves to be shaped and formed by the goodness of the Lord. And according to Psalm 37 verse 23, the steps of the godly are ordered by the Lord, and He is concerned with every detail of their lives. When I look back, I see your steps I see the Lord has been concerned about you. And I rejoice because I know even your tomorrow is a concern for the Lord. Therefore, remain strong. Remain strong, be focused, and never lose your vision for God.
Haha tore tiho tothiaga, haha tore tiho ithue twambitie, niguthie turathie nginya tukinye uria Ngai endaga. That where we are is not where we started, and where we are going sio mahali ambapo tunafika. We still have a long way to go, and so I will pray and challenge all of us that the new sanctuary comes with a new service, comes with new commitment, comes with new giving, and comes with happiness. That we will serve the Lord with happiness, with joy, and for sure the Lord will also bless us in our journey.
And so my prayer for Thome as it goes to the next 30 years is that more leaders will be born, more leaders will be grown, and development mentorship will continue to grow, numbers will grow in depth, and that Thome will become a beacon of hope. As we enter town, as the name suggests, it's Thome, that anyway, even the atmosphere that will be affected by the prayer and the presence of God as people enter town. And so that will be my prayer. And I would say congratulations to Thome as celebrate the 30 years. And congratulations also for finishing the building. It's not an easy thing. I knew how hard it was. I don't take it for granted. We see God at work. Even though I am not there with you, my prayer is that God will be with you, and that even as this good happens, not unto us, but to Him belongs all the glory. And this would be my parting shot. Now to the King, eternal, immortal, invisible, the only true and wise God, be glory and honor forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
To all of us, I would say that we really have a very, very good foundation of the life that we are having today. And because each one of us has now heard the message of the gospel of Jesus Christ and of salvation, I would pray that each one of us individually believes in the wonderful works of our Lord Jesus Christ, and every moment we confess our sins, even to other people, so that we grow in spiritually, and also in harmony with our neighbors. And also my prayer is that even from our homes, there will be peace, and I believe our God will continue blessing each one of us as we prepare even to meet our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Lastly, to encourage our members in Thome, is to continue to focus on to God who called us and gave us this space to come and make Him known to all nations of the world through this space. We want to thank you for the support that we have received from you members. As the leadership, we are grateful. We also want to thank even for the other ministers who have ministered in this place, and encourage your members to continue worshiping in this space. So I want to encourage all members, let's keep on going, and we are going far, because God is our strength. God bless you. God bless you. Let's continue worshiping the one who died for us. In Jesus' name.
May God bless the people of Thome. I'm proud of them.